God bless you, dear ones. Welcome to the Word with Chester. Today we will begin studying chapter 3 of the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm grateful to God for all of you that watch us. What a blessing it is to know that you're there. I ask that you hit the like button or share our videos. That way more people will know about us and maybe we can win more to the kingdom of God. My dears, we do many things, but let me share to our newcomers what we are and what we're doing. Dears, in this session, we're teaching through the Bible, verse by verse and chapter by chapter. In the internet section of what we do, teaching through this Bible. Every day you will get a new video, and all it is me teaching through the Bible, verse by verse and chapter by chapter. And many people are being blessed and listening to us from all over the world, and I thank God for you. I can't start to name places, all up in Sudan and places like that. I've heard from people, and I'm grateful to God for all of you through the sub-Saharan Africa. I want you to know that I love all of you with the love of the Lord. Also, my dears, we have a television ministry on the Now Television Network. We broadcast every Saturday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. God is blessing that study, and you're welcome to tune in with us there every Saturday. On the television, I'm teaching through the New Testament scriptures. Right now, we're in the Gospel of St. Luke teaching, so I encourage you to join us in all of our forums. Also, we will come to you wherever you are in the world. If you supply the means for us to get there, we will come and preach the gospel to you and your people, and I guarantee you they will be blessed. That's one of the things that God has anointed me to do, and that is to evangelize. So I encourage you to get a hold of me and talk to me, and we can discuss that as far as me coming to your area. And that's anywhere in the United States of America, anywhere in North or South America, Europe, Africa, the Asian countries, all of them, all of the countries there. I will be glad to come and share the gospel with you. My dears, we will begin our reading today at verse 1 of chapter 3. Now, this particular chapter is actually just proof continued. What is he trying to prove, or what is he trying to state to you as he is writing? Now, he is letting you and I know that everything is vanity, it's vexation of spirit. So that's the discourse he's on and what he is trying to talk to you about. If you were not here in chapter 1 and chapter 2, it will be beneficial for you to listen to them, and you can see what he's talking about. All is vanity. Everything is for nothing. So this is actually in chapter 3 is proof continued, and if you want to put a subtitle with it, is the worry round of life. The worry round of life. Now let's begin today at verse 1. If you have your Bibles, it will be beneficial to you to read along with us as we study the Word of God. The Bible reads, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the sun." To everything is a season. Now, what is he talking about now? Remember from our last lesson, he is talking about how everything goes around and around and around in a vicious cycle. And this is further proof of that now, that he is making that statement to us. Again, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Now let's read. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. Can you understand what he's saying? There's a season for everything. There's a time for a person to be born, and there's a time for not only a person, everything in the earth realm. It's a time for everything to be born. It's a time for everything to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. What are you talking about? Seed time and harvest. There's a time to plant seeds, and then there's a time to reap that harvest in. Now get that now. Now let's read in 3. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to kill. Now, if you this is not talking about killing people, and then in that case, in times of war and self-defense, we could take a stance there. But I want you to take it further than that. There's a time to kill. What are you talking about? Even that we consume and that we eat has a life, whether you're a vegetarian or a vegan or you eat meat. There's a time to kill that so that you can consume it. What are you talking about, vegetarian? Well, plants have life. Well, you may not understand it and might not know that it is alive. You wouldn't get the nutrients that you get out of it if it was not alive. Well, there's a time to kill, even in that type of situation. A time to kill and a time to heal. There's a time to heal things. There's a time to refurbish things, if you please. A time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build. Now get this. Now he's talking about this giant cycle, this giant situation where everything goes around and around and around. So you can see there's a time to do everything. Now in verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Even in your life, there's a time for you to cry and there's a time for you to laugh. That's the reason I tell people all the time, if things are not going well for you right now, just keep living. It'll get better after a while, because there's a time for you to weep and then there's a time for you to laugh. If you're not laughing now, if you just hang around a while, there'll be something for you to laugh at or laugh about or to enjoy. There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. All of us have experienced it. We lose a loved one, we mourn, but yet after a while, there's a time to dance. And in some cultures, after that funeral, after someone has died, then they'll break forth in dance, because it's depending on how you look at things, if you please. If you believe that person is going to be with the Lord, that's a time to dance, my dears. Now let's read in verse 5, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to throw stones. And I'm not talking about at each other now. When you're going into clear land, that's a time to get all the stones away and cast them away. But yet when it's time for you to build a building, that's a time to gather stones. Can you see the truth in what he is saying? There's a time to embrace. There's a time for you to hug somebody. Time for us to join hand in hand and do this life together. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Why would I refrain from embracing? If I see someone going down the wrong road, I can't embrace that. I can love the person, but not embrace what they're doing. Can you see? There's a time to embrace and there's a time to not embrace. Shall we read? A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. Well, can you get the logic of what the writer is saying? There is a time to get, and most of the time we want to get all the time, but there's a time to get and a time to lose. we're not so happy about that losing part most of the time. Well, none of us like to lose anything, but yet it's a time to. It happens in life, my dear, so don't get upset. If you lose a little something, there's a time to get now, and then there's a time to lose. And you have to understand that, a time to keep and a time to cast away. Get the cycle of things that he's talking about. And in every life, we have our ups and our downs. We have times where things are good, and we have times when things are bad. I wrote a song that's called Life Happens, and the part of the lyrics is saying this: with ups and downs and turnarounds and give and take and big mistakes, life happens. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. The best coaster ride I ever had. It feels so good when you're at the top, but the pain that comes when you make a big drop. Don't even worry what people have to say. When you wake up tomorrow, it'll be a new day. Well, get the picture. That's what this writer is actually talking about. Life has ups and life has downs, and things go well sometime, and sometimes they go bad. But if you continue living, some good things are going to happen to you. If you're at a low, don't even worry about it. Just try the next show. Life will determine where next to go. Use what you have in the place you are. Drive what you can until you get the new car. Don't even worry what people have to say. When you wake up tomorrow, it'll be a new day. So can you see? This is life, my dears, and you have to live it. And don't worry when things are bad, because if you keep living, things will be all right after a while. I hope you're getting this today. Now in verse 7, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak. All of these things are true. There is a time that you just have to shut your mouth, my dears, and there's a time you can't speak up. But the wisdom in this is you got to know when to do it. There's a time to tear. Well, what do you mean a time to tear? Material, if you please. A material, if you please. There's a time to tear if you want to patch another garment. If you tear that and cut the shape of that, there's a time to tear it and then sew it in to the new garment. So there's a time to tear and there's a time to sew, a time to be silent and a time to speak. Now let's read. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Now, a time to love. Well, all the time, love is appropriate, my dears. There's nothing wrong with you loving at all times. But let me let you know this. The writer is saying there's a time to love and a time to hate. Well, there'll be some things that you really love, and then there'll be some things that you really despise. There's a time to it. But you keep living now. There's going to be some things that you really love. And then there's going to be some things that you despise. A time of war and a time of peace. And we've seen that over life where there's wartime and there's peacetime. Now let's read. What profit has he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? What profit is it now? And I could spend almost 30 minutes on this, but I'm not going to. What profit is it? Sometimes you can see yourself working hard and you think in your own mind, why am I doing this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What profit has he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? What profit is it for me to work hard like I work hard? Yes, I can enjoy a few comforts, but yet let me let you know, in the end, it's going to profit you nothing. The only thing that's going to matter in the end is your relationship with God, and if you have it right with him. That's the only thing that's going to matter, because everything else that you gain and accumulate in this life is going to be left to someone else, your children possibly, or your spouse, or whatever the case may be. It will be left to someone. Let's read now in verse 10. I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. I've seen the travail when a woman is having a child. That's a time of travail. She's hurting, but yet after that child is born, then she has great joy because she sees that child. I have seen the travail. Even life has problems of bring forth problems. I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. I've seen all of these things, the travail and things we have to go through in this life for men to be exercised in it. Now, what are you talking about? It exercises your character. It exercises everything about you, your mental state, and everything, even your physical body at times is taxed and put to the test. So can you understand what the writer is saying? Now, shall we read in verse 11, he had made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the works that God maketh from the beginning to the end. He has made it so you trying to figure out God, my dears, you'll never be able to figure out God. Because God is so superior to us. God is, we can go through all of the omnis. God is everything, my dears. He is all powerful, all knowing. He knows everything. Can you get the picture? And he has enough power to change and do whatever he wants to. Actually, just by the power of his word, can you see that God is everything, and you trying to figure out a God like that? It'll never happen. Why? Because you don't have enough brain power, my dears, to figure out God, even from the beginning to the ending. You might as well leave it alone trying to figure him out and just say yes to his will and serve him by faith because he said it, because his word said it. You'll get farther along like that way than you will trying to figure out everything about God from the beginning to the end. Now let's read on in 12. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. I got to read that slow so you'll grasp this. I know that there is no good in them, no good in everything that we've talked about. But, now you have to get that but in there. There's no good in everything we've talked about, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. That's the only significance there. That's the only thing that's important, my dears, that you do good in life. And what are we talking about? Do good to others. Do good with what you have. Do good by yourself. Do good by your family. Do good by your community. Do good by your country. And we could go up the line. Can you get the picture that's the full purpose of you and I is to just do good in this life. Treat people good. Treat people like you want to be treated. I hope you're getting the picture here of what the writer is saying. Let's read in verse 13. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor is the gift of God. Now, this is what you can do, my dears. You work hard every day and you make that little money. And you have your house, whether you have a mortgage, you're paying rent, you have a place to live. Well, all the writer is saying, go in there and enjoy it, my dears. Fix yourself a good meal. Have someone else fix a good meal. And just enjoy yourself. Enjoy the works of your hand. You worked hard for it, so enjoy it. You got that 9 to 5, if you please. And don't get mad if you ain't rich. Just enjoy what you have. have. Well, I was in discussion with a gentleman one time. He was actually a millionaire. I was in discussion with him, and he was telling me about all the things and toys that people at his level did. Well, buying airplanes and things of that nature. And oh, yes, I was excited about the airplanes. But yet, when we looked at it and we talked about it, we all do the same thing. We buy things with what we have to excite us. Well, he could afford airplanes, but I, at one time, bought motorcycles. Over life, I've had 4 motorcycles, and I used to love to ride my motorcycle here and there. Well, get the picture. Well, what he could afford, he spent his money on to enjoy himself. What I could afford, I spent my money on to enjoy myself. And there's somebody, and you don't put anybody any lower than anyone, but there's somebody that didn't make the money that I made. They made less than I made. They may not can afford a motorcycle, but it's something in their income that they could buy, that they could enjoy. What are you talking about, my dears? If you can't afford a motorcycle, get yourself a nice little moped and ride that thing, or ride a bicycle, and enjoy it. Whatever you can afford, do that, and enjoy life to the fullest. Can you get what the writer is saying? That's the gift of God to you, for you to enjoy what he gives you. Now let's read in verse 14. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Whatever God does is forever. Now, God has made everything, and it is forever. It will never be destroyed. Even if it turns to dust, it still exists, if you please. I know that whatever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. For God doeth it, that man should fear before him. In other words, everything done, can't no man come add to it. Now, you can change the shape of it and make something out of it. If it's a tree, you can cut it and make lumber, and you can build a house, if you please, or make furniture, if you please. You can do a lot of things with it, but you haven't changed anything but the shape of it, my dears, because it was created by God, and he made it. I must read hurriedly here, but I hope you're getting the picture here of what he's saying. And verse 15, that which has been is now, and that which is to be has already been, and God requireth that which is past. In other words, everything that you do has already been done by somebody. Everything that you say has already been said by somebody. I gotta read that again. That which has been now, and that which is to be has already been, and God requireth that which is past. He requireth that which is past. In other words, God, he's going to get whatever he's supposed to out of it. All of that that's gone by, and even the things in the future. And you have to understand, in God, there is no past, present, and future. It's always now, because he's omnipresent. He's present in the past, he's present in the now, and he's present in the future. God is omnipresent. Now let's read in verse 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of justice, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. We can talk about that a long way, but in the place of justice, all the way up into the higher rung of the courts, if you please, or of the body. At the top rung of a nation, whether that be Congress or Senate or the executive suite or whatever, what the writer is saying. Moreover, I saw under the sun a place of justice now, that wickedness was there. I saw that wickedness was all the way up there, my dears, a place of justice where it was supposed to be right. I saw wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness righteousness, that iniquity was there, a place of righteousness. And we can talk about the church, if you please. That's where everything's supposed to be right in the church. But the writer is saying it's some wickedness there. So you have to understand. Everybody get all hot and bothered about hypocrites and all that stuff, about this hypocrite or that hypocrite. Well, where else they gonna be, my dears, besides in the church? But if you want to know the truth, you got hypocrites at the club, you got hypocrites at the strip club, you got hypocrites in every walk of life. There's hypocrites there. People smile in your face and make sure and act like they love you, and then all the time they ready to do you harm. Can you see where things are supposed to be right? There's some wickedness there. Your job is to make sure you're not in that wickedness. I hope you're hearing me today. Well, shall we read hurriedly? I saw in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and every work. Can you see? God is going to judge the matter one of these days. You're trying to figure it out, but God will judge the matter. Everything, every purpose, everything that happens, God will judge the matter. Shall we read? I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might test them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. I said this, and he said, men themselves are beasts. If God put you to the test, you'll see where you are, if you're a beast or not. Well, get the picture. I don't judge people on that go through poverty and things of that nature. Sometimes people are put in survival mode, and that will bring out the beast in you. If you got put into survival mode, you'd be out there trying to hunt just like the lion to get your food. You would be a beast if you were in that mode. And I don't knock folks. We talk about folks in the inner city and all the things that go on that happen in that that area. But I want you to know, if you give enough good jobs, if you give enough good things to people like that, that beast won't be out for survival. I know you're going to have some wickedness, but the beast, that predatory thing that's always trying to hurt and kill, if a person knows that he has a future, then he's not looking to the latter. I must read on to finish this particular section today, verse 19, for that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts. Can you see what he's saying? That falls to men falls to beasts. Even one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all but breath, so that the man who hath no preeminence above the beast, all is vanity. Everything is vanity. What is he saying? Well, just like the lion gonna die, you will die. Just like the whatever beast out in the field or animal out in the wilderness, they die. Men die too. None of us escape that. Let's read. I'm running out of time. All go into the place. All are of dust. We go back to dust, dears, and all turn to dust again. We come from dust and we go back to dust. Who knoweth the spirit of a man that goeth upward, and the spirit of a beast that goeth down to the earth? Who knows now the spirit? Now he asked the question that who knows this? None of us do. Let's read in 22. Therefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works. Enjoy what you have, for that is the portion. For who shall bring him to see that what shall be after him? In other words, enjoy what you have. Enjoy where you're at, my dears. Enjoy it now. Get some joy out of where you are, and God will bless you. You can't see any further than where you are. So always appreciate where you are. Well, my dears, I want you to know that I love you with the love of the Lord. Pray for me, and I definitely will pray for you. God bless you, my dears.